All right. Is it working? All right. Looks like it might be working. All right. Awesome. So, whew. Let's do this. All right. Don't know if anyone's going to show up or not, but it doesn't matter. We're here to do some writing. That's what we're going to do. I've got two screens going right now. I'll wait a little bit longer just to see if anyone else shows up. But I've got my main screen here, which is what you can see. All right. That's got my DAW. Everything is set up. Got my piano. Got my camera going so you can see my face while I'm doing all of this. Looks like there's a little bit of latency. I've got a second screen over here that's letting me see if there are any comments with different stuff like that. But hey, how's it going? All right, yeah, I'm starting to see some comments. Awesome. All right, so anywho, I'll be checking the comments periodically. If you have any questions, any ideas, or anything like that, feel free to shout them out. I'll check periodically to make sure I'm staying on top of that. But other than that, let's dive right in. All right, so being completely honest, it's been a little bit since I've worked on this project, so I completely forgot everything that we came up with. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I'm getting all these different things popping up on my YouTube live thing. First time, so they're sending me all the notifications and whatnot. Let's take a look at this though. All right, so right here, let's take a look at my markers. What did I have? All right, so we had the disaster. I had the minor to major rhythmic motifs, which I think we already did. Hey, how's it going? Welcome everybody. Let's see here. So E minor to G, we did those. That was the minor to major. Then these were the first rhythmic idea. Let's actually, since I forgot what all of this sounds like, let's try taking a look at them and seeing what we had from last week. So it was E minor to G major. Let's hear how that sounds. Okay. Let's see what was next. Okay. All right, so if you're new to this series, if you haven't seen any of the videos beforehand, basically what I'm doing, up to this point, we did a lot of planning ahead of time. We discussed the characters, what the music needed to do, and I had come up with a bunch of different motivic ideas. All right, we're just brainstorming it. We're going for a quantity kind of thing, just crank out as many ideas that I can come up with, and then I'm going to sort through them later to figure out which ones I like. Already listening to those, I could hear some that I liked, some that I wasn't too excited about. But we've got a bunch more, and I think we've got 4 more that we're going to come up with today before deciding which ones I'm a fan of, which ones I would like to see developed, and we're going to try and see what kind of directions those can go in. Let's see. Hey, Third World News, glad you can make it. I saw that you said it's going to be super late, so sorry about that. But I hope it's worth it. Let's see here. So that was the E minor to G motifs that we came up with. Let's see what these rhythmic ideas were for the 2 major triads. So the cool thing is if you've been following the harmony series, all of these E minor to G, E to G, all these chords that we're using for the motifs are tertian in nature, which it just released a video on that, or chords related by a third. So building off these motifs down the line, it'll give me the opportunity to decide whether I want to be functional, which I think we decided we didn't want to be functional with this. So in which case we'll probably go with tertian harmonies. But let's listen to these real quick. Let's see what we came up with in the last video. Okay, that has some promise. I could see that. Okay. That one I'm listening. I like the first one the most, I think, so far. Ooh, I kind of like that one. Let's see how that would sound with the horns. Because, yeah, we had the horns up here for just some time. Oh, I lost it. Where'd it go? Ooh, yeah, I kind of like that. Might be coming back to that one later. But let's see. How's it going? Let's see what the last motivic idea was. We had some here. Okay. Not too thrilled about that one. Neither with that one either. Ooh, I think that I recognize that one. Alright, so that one might have some promise too. I remember that one. I remember geeking out about that. Did I make it? Yep, I even made a note about that one saying I like it. Alright, not too big of a fan of that one. Alright, so basically, just going through these different motivic ideas that we came up with in the last video. Now, I think, if memory serves, there's just one more rhythmic idea to develop, because there's 4. So we had 1 from the minor to major. We did those, and we had 3 from here, so we did 2 over here. That's right time to see what we can do about developing this 4th one. All right, and everything is quantized to whole notes, which is why you're not seeing any grids. This must have been from the tertian video or something when I was working on it. Let's see, that's half notes. Let's go to 1/8 notes. There we go. All right, so now the bars are divided into 1/8 notes. That'll make it easier for us. Let's give a quick listen to what this idea was. All right, so it's a rhythmic idea. We've got to try and turn this into a more melodic motif now. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Let's see here. So E, we're on the 5th. Let's try. If we jump to a 4, that's a perfect 4th. So the E is a B to E is a perfect 4th. I kind of like that F sharp to G, but this is an E major, not an E minor triad. So can't do the G. Have to stick to G sharp. Let's see here. So B to E. Oh, that's how we're going to do it. All right, so we're going to go from B to E, and then the E, and then there's a G in the next one. Which I love that G there. So these 3 notes that the melody is in all form an E minor triad if done together. So E, E, G, B, that's an E minor, which is interesting to me. I just like the juxtaposition because we're actually working with an E major under here and a G major. So the fact that the melody would form a minor chord, would be leaning towards a minor chord while the harmony is all major, something about that I like. Let's listen to this on piano. So now let's find out what we're going to do with these. Let's try. Let's do F. It's a F. That's F sharp. That's E and D. Let's give that a listen. I like that. That could be onto something. That could be something. And we forgot to I forgot to duplicate it. So let's do this a couple times. So as a reminder, the way I like to do this stuff, especially early on, is a numbers game. So I've found from personal experience that if I start running with the first idea I come up with, I can often put a lot of work into a thematic idea only to find out down the line I don't like it anymore, or that it doesn't work, or it doesn't do what I wanted it to do, or it just doesn't fit. And so that's really painful when you put a lot of time into something and then you decide that you have to scrap it. So just something I've found that helps a lot with, and I've talked about this in the previous videos, but helping with writer's block, helping with having options instead of just going with the first thing, is just to crank out as many options as possible. And while I'm doing that, I'm probably going to come up with a bunch of stinkers, stuff that I'm not going to develop. But I have options. And for every 4 or 5 bad ideas I come up with, if I can come up with at least one good idea, it's worth it. All right? Because that's all it takes. So right now, that's what I'm doing. All right? I'm just dividing my time into little motifs. I'm cranking out little ideas, seeing which ones I like, which ones I don't. And from here, then I'm going to build on to see which ones are worth my time. Which ones do I actually think this could be something? I'm going to stretch it into a full phrase, see how that works. All right, the full phrase works. What about building into a larger thematic statement or section? What about, and kind of go from there. We start small, build from there, or at least I do. All right, any questions, any comments, anything so far? Nope, looks like we're good. All right, so I'll keep looking just in case. Let's see here. So now we started with a B on that one. Let's try starting with a G. Let's try just a simple arpeggio. All right, so yeah, just sticking to some different ideas. So typically I'll work with the piano. Right now I've got it's a Spitfire Albion 1. Actually, I'll show you this. Spitfire Albion 1 brass mid-range. All right, so Albion 1 was the very first sound library that I ever bought, and I still love it. I love Spitfire's products. Incredible. And this was actually something that Christian Henson, I believe is his name, the one of the co-founders of Spitfire. He does a fantastic video on his 10 golden rules to orchestration, which if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's incredible. It's part of the summer school series that Spitfire did on their YouTube channel, where they did a bunch of master classes. But he talks about the importance of using different, just different sound libraries like this, things that can inspire you. Because piano is nice. I love to work with piano, especially when I'm just coming up with little ideas. But it doesn't typically inspire me the same way as just these incredible sound libraries do. And they don't need to be expensive. I'm sorry, I have got a creaky chair. For example, let's see if I've got any on here. But all right, so I don't have any on my computer, on my desktop. I had a whole lot of them on I still have a lot of them on my laptop, but Spitfire has what they call Spitfire Labs, which are free sound libraries. Incredible sounding, all right? They're wonderful tools. I could highly recommend them. They're fantastic tools for just helping with the inspiration. You don't even need them to orchestrate your music if you're not at that point yet, which we definitely aren't. So these melodies aren't necessarily going to be in the horns. It's just I use them because they inspire me a little bit more. They make me feel a little bit more creative, and that's okay. That's all you really need sometimes. Hey, my pleasure, 80. Hope I'm pronouncing the name right. So let's see here. We came up with one motif. Let's make that full screen so it doesn't drive me crazy. So now we've got, what was that? Let's do a D. All right, we've been sticking to mostly chordal tones. Let's try a non-chordal tone. All right, the fourth beat in 4/4 time is a weak beat. So 1 and 3 are considered strong in 4/4 time. 2 and 4 are considered weak. You can get away with non-chordal tones on weak beats a lot easier than you can on strong beats. So this is a weak beat. It's the fourth beat. If we were to divide this into quarter notes, you can see 1, 2, 3. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, so that all does apply. That all certainly, of course, applies, but I forgot this is not 4/4 time. This is 7/8 time. All right, so that switches things up. In that case, 7/8 time can often be counted a little bit more like 3/4 time, in which case the first beat is strong and the second two are weak. It gets a little bit trickier because it's not necessarily compound meter. So, for example, like 12/8 time, I think, no, 12/8 would be 4/4 equivalent. So 6/8 time would be 3/4 equivalent. I gotta do some videos on rhythm to explain this stuff. I think that'd be helpful. Yeah, if you get any ideas for video concepts or something you'd like, let me know. But so basically I'm saying this is a weak beat, so we can get away with some non-chordal tones on it. Let's see here. And then that's a G, a D. You know what, let's stick to the D there. Just keep it going. And then that's a pretty big leap right there. So is that GB? So that would be like what, a minor sixth? Yeah, because G to B is a minor third. So reverse that, you get 6 and a major. So major 6th. I think that's right. No, I was wrong. B flat is the minor. So this is a minor 6th. All right. So the way you can figure that out is the opposite of the interval is always going to add up to 9. So the opposite of 2 is a 7. Opposite of 3 is 6. Opposite of 4 is 5, etc., etc. Actually, I think that's just it. No, yeah, opposite of 3 would be 6. I said that already. I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind. Yeah, so 2 opposite intervals will always add together to equal 9. So then I think that's right. I hope I'm not lying to you guys. I believe that's right. I'm sleepy right now, though, so if I'm wrong, someone please let me know. Hey! Hello from Michigan. There we go. That's where I'm from. All right, Michigan. Let's see here. So, Anywho, all of that to say, this is quite a large leap. So let's see that. That's a major third, but if we go down, that is a minor 6th. All right, that's a large leap. Let's see how this would work. Let's listen to it on piano. Okay, that's a lot more syncopated than I was playing it, but I liked it. Good enough. Let's move on. All right, so these last two have stuck to chordal tones. So let's try building one that does not stick to chordal tones. Let's see. We'll start with G again. So G to A to B to D. So technically, you've still got... No, D is not a chordal tone. That's right. This is E. So let's see how this sounds. Ooh, I kind of like that. All right, let's try B, D. Let's try that. Let's try bringing that down. I like that. All right, that works for me. I enjoy that. All right, just one more to go. One more motif to come up with, and from there we'll start sifting through, finding out what I like, and start working on actually turning these into some phrases, some thematic statements. All right, let's see here. Bum, dum, dum, dum. Okay, let's see here. So we started one with B, started one with G, another one with G. I don't like starting with the root. It's just my own personal hang-up. I don't like it. Nothing wrong with it. Just personally don't care much for it. So let's try doing another one B. All of these have moved up, I'm just realizing. Leap up, step up. So let's try seeing what happens if we go in the opposite direction. So then, let's move these down. All right, let's hear that, how that sounds. Do not like those last ones. I think I'm onto something here, though. Let's see what happens. If I went to a G, that would be incredibly dissonant, because that would be a minor second between the G sharp and G. So I don't want to do that. I'm not brave enough to try that. But what if I went down to E? So E to B, that would be a perfect fifth interval, which is pretty common in heroic main character themes. Let's try moving up, because I don't like running into that chord there. G, B. Let's try that. So let's hear what that sounds like on horn. Alright, made some mistakes there, but it's alright. Not a big fan of it, probably not going to develop it, but it's good enough, and that's the name of the game, isn't it? Good enough. Alright, so now what we have done over the course of these past couple of videos is we now have 16. Is that right? No, 8, So 4, 8, 12, 16. Yes, 16 motivic ideas. All right, now obviously I'm not going to develop every single one of these. All right, that would take a long amount of time. But this is where things are going to start going a little bit faster. All right, because from these, I'm going to pick out a couple motivic ideas I like. I'm going to develop those into phrases, and then from there, I'm going to select just 1 or 2 phrases I really like and develop them into the actual thematic material. So my process that I've been sharing across these, this is now the 7th video. Okay, oh, thank you. Glad it's interesting. But yes, so my process that I've been sharing through all this, if you haven't seen the videos, or if you have been watching the videos, is, you might have noticed, very slow. All right, my process is very detail heavy at the very beginning. All right, I spent, I think, 2 videos not even writing any music, just going through ideas for it, trying to understand the characters, trying to see what concepts we're going to come up with. I actually took a couple of the notes from that and put them here. So we talked about the 9 parameters of music, how they were going to be used. We talked about the 2 different types of themes we needed. We need an adventure theme and something that symbolized the sibling bond or the loyalty that's so important to the characters. So we talked about how the different 9 parameters could be used to help represent these ideas. We talked about what kind of form I want the piece to have in general. Talked about the energy map for all of that. And all this is in the 1st and 2nd episodes. But so we spent a long time picking all that stuff out. Then from there, I tried this disaster of trying to start with the groove first and build from there. That is not my strong suit. So but I kept it because I don't delete stuff in these early stages. Then from there, we came up with we decided to switch tactics and try some chord relationships. I decided on E minor to G major, and then E major to G major. I liked those 2 chord relationships a lot. I thought they worked well for the idea. And so based off of that, we built some rhythmic motifs, which is what we were just working with. All right, where I just used those chords and just came up with some generic rhythms that I thought worked best based off of the initial ideas we had. So for the adventure theme, which is what we're working on right now, the rhythm, we said syncopation, rhythmically active, dotted notes and triplets, odd meter, and irregular accents. Tempo, moderate to fast paced. We kept all of that in mind. So 100 beats per minute, that's moderate to fast paced, definitely. 7/8 meter gives us plenty of opportunities for irregular accents. Did lots of syncopation, did lots of triplets, did lots of dotted rhythms. Basically stuck to all those parameters. And I came up with 4 rhythmic ideas for the E minor to G major. And then came up with 4 rhythmic ideas for the E major to G major. Then from there, you'll see one of these is muted, and that 3 were muted in the others. Those were deleted. I don't like to delete stuff this early in the game just in case I come back to it. But I basically took 4 rhythmic motifs that we had come up with based off those parameters, based off the chords we were working with, had those rhythmic ideas, and that's what these are. This first idea right here that wasn't deleted, I used that to build 4 motivic ideas. 4 things that I could then use to build a theme if I wanted to. Now, I didn't need to stick to the rhythm strictly. I don't think all of them did stick strictly to the original rhythms, but they stayed close. They stuck with being inspired from that idea. And then I did the 4 for this, 4 for this, 4 for this, and that's what we're working with here. Now it's time to go through each of these and just mercilessly decide what I like, what I don't like, because what I do like is what I'm going to end up developing into full phrases or thematic statements, so we can see which one has the best chance or what I want to eventually turn into a full piece. So all of that was just a whole lot of talking. Any questions? Let's see. Glad to see you guys are enjoying it. Glad to see that you guys are interested. Like I said, if you have any questions, any concerns, theories, concepts, ideas, anything at all, feel free to shout them out, type them in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to answer them, consider them, whatever. But for now, let's move on. Let's see which of these ideas, if any, I like. So this is E minor. All right. Okay. I like that one better. Nope. Right off the bat, I know I don't like to axe things off after a first listening, but there are 16 of these. All right, so I just need to be merciless and trust my gut, at least at the beginning. So if there's something where I'm just thinking right at the bat, don't like that, I'm just going to give the X. All right, and again, I don't like to delete, so I'm just going to mute. Let's listen to this one. Okay, I could see that one. Let's see. Ah, yes, this is Cubase. So this one specifically is Cubase 9.5 Pro. I bought this several years back. I love working with Cubase. I've worked with Logic. I've worked with Pro Tools. I even tried Ableton for a little bit. The only ones I actually own are Cubase and Pro Tools. But Cubase is just my favorite. I can't explain why. Maybe it's just because I know how to use it better than any other program, but it's my favorite. They have simpler versions. They've got all kinds of different deals available. If you're a student, they got discounts. I check it out. They've got free versions that you can take for like a trial. But the reason why I got into Cubase is because when I first started getting into film scoring, I was obsessed with Hans Zimmer. I still kind of am. I've watched a lot of Hans Zimmer videos today. But he uses Cubase, and a lot of his colleagues, a lot of people who've worked with him, who have trained with him, also work with Cubase. And so when I was first getting into composition, I had no idea what a DAW was, and which is a digital audio workstation. It's the kind of software that allows you to work with MIDI and write music. I had no idea what it was. I knew that this was the one Hans Zimmer had. I had a little bit of a budget back then, so I thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it. Now I think they're on Cubase like 11. They come out with a new version every year, and I've heard that Cubase 10 and 11 both have some crazy updates. So I really want to update as soon as I can afford it, but we'll see when that happens. For now, I'm really happy with it right now, here where it is. Hey, how's it going, Berger? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But Berger is one of my patrons. Incredible musician. Check out his channel. He posts some original compositions. They're beautiful. I always love listening to when you post them. All right, so let's see. This last one, what was it? No. It's okay, but I don't want to develop that. Well, let me give it a listen again. What is that? Is that a G? Nah, I'm not going to develop that one. All right, so there are 2 possibilities from here, 2 removed. We've got 12 more to check. Nope. I kind of like that one. I'll keep that one for now. One second. I do like that one. I'm going to do one change. Lengthen that. I like that one. All right. Oh, but I don't want to leave 3. I feel like I should have removed more. You know what? I'm going to ignore it for now because I am going to have to listen to these again because there's no way I'm developing more than 4 ideas, I think. I think that'd be a good number to stop at. So let's see here. Nope. Nope. Yes, keeping that one. Nope, giving that one the X. All right, so that one makes me feel a bit better. All right, I removed 3 of those. All right, so we're starting to get. So now what we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 ideas so far. Let's see what these 4 look like. Nope. Nope. Okay. Nope. That's all over the place. Don't like that. This one. Let's re-listen to this one. I don't like that F. Let's bring it down to an E. Okay, now it will stay. All right, so now we just narrowed down 16 potential ideas to 7. All right, so let's listen to these again. Remove ideally another 3, if at all possible. But we shall see. Oh, got a bunch of them. You like that last one, Declan? All right, awesome. That could be important. All right, so which one did you like, Declan? Because Declan is actually the patron whose characters we are writing for right now. Let's see. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Good to see a bunch of the patrons on here. I'm really grateful that you guys are able to see the video. Let's see here. So, let's see, Declan. You were saying the last one. Which one was that? I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. We'll listen to them again. And then, so we're going to go group 1. That one's got some potential. That one also has potential. All right, this is getting harder. Let's see. 3 choices on. All right, okay, right here. Excellent. So we're going on here. So you said you liked this one. Let's try that with some modulation. I like that. So that one, if that one is Declan's favorite, then of course we need to develop it because this is for his characters. So this one lives to fight another day. We're going to just copy and paste that over here. Yeah, we'll put it in the horns. Okay, so Steve asks, when in the process is it best to apply sampled instruments? That's a really good question. So it's different for everybody. Right now, what I'm doing is I'll typically start on piano, but when someone else mentioned it in one of the comments on my videos, and I agree, the piano can get a little old, and that's no shade against the piano. I love the sound of a piano, and I have a beautiful piano library that I love to work with from Native Instruments. It's called the Grandeur. I'll actually pull that up so you can see it. Oh, no, I'm working with the Giant. All right. Giant is another one of my favorites. The Grandeur is this one right here. Giant is an upright piano, but they're both beautiful sounding instruments. So I'll typically start with piano, but sometimes, especially at this stage, when I am working with just such a sheer number of ideas, and I'm just trying to be creative, I'm trying to come up with a bunch of different ideas, sometimes just using one timbre, one tone color of just one instrument gets old pretty fast, and you get stuck in the idea of what can this instrument do. And for example, let's go to the one that Declan enjoyed. And he talked about enjoying it particularly on the horns. On the piano, it sounds pretty good. But it sounds very different on the horns. Let's pull that up again. Where'd it go? Right, the timbre, the tone color. So timbre is by definition the fingerprint of the sound. It's what allows us to tell the difference between two different instruments playing the same exact pitch. And it has to do with the exact in relationship of the different partials and the frequencies of the sound. That's a whole fascinating concept that I recommend looking into, especially if you want to learn more about synthesizers. But it's just, there's a whole lot I could say, but the idea is working with different instruments helps fuel your creativity in different ways. There are certain ideas that you can hear on one instrument that you couldn't hear on another. So like the famous Batman motif from Hans Zimmer's score. What was that? What was it? Right, it's just 2 notes. Incredibly expressive on the horns. If you try that on the piano, I mean, I'm not gonna say anything bad about it, but it's just not the same. All right, so that's a roundabout way to say there's never really an inappropriate time to start thinking about using sound libraries or sound patches, whatever you'd like. It's just whatever works best for your process. I will say, if you try to orchestrate everything and try to do your final product. So if I were to try and do like, all right, this is the horns here, I'm gonna do the strings and do the harmonies at the same time, you very quickly get overwhelmed. There are very few composers in history who can just write a piece right in one go from idea, like where they start with the final orchestration. The only one I know of was Mozart. Mozart was famous or infamous, however you wanna, whatever you would think would be most best way to describe it, of writing full pieces without drafts. He'd just sit there and write everything, and that would be his final draft, which is unbelievable. But especially for the modern composer, not even the modern composer, for any non-Mozart composer, trying to orchestrate things as you go can become very overwhelming very quickly. So I recommend sticking with a couple instruments that you like. Some people like having sketch templates, where you just have some preloaded sound libraries ready for inspiration to try different ideas in. I'll do that from time to time, but yeah, so that's just me kind of rambling. You can use sound libraries whenever you want in the process. Just I would recommend not getting too carried away in the beginning. It can become, it's kind of, if you have too many options, you start to get stuck and not being able to make decisions. All right, let's see here. All right, awesome. So I hope that answered your question. So we have one idea here. All right, this one, I liked it, Declan liked it, and if Declan likes it, we have to develop it because, again, he is the patron whose character we are writing this for. Let's see here. So that was one idea. I'll go ahead. So that's one idea. We have 3 more to go. Let's go through here and find ones that I don't like, just gut check. I'm actually thankful for the chance to rant for a bit. Thank you. It helps empty my ear a little bit so I don't have these ideas stuck in my ear already and I can hear them a little fresher now. I like that one. Do not like that one anymore. That one, goodbye. This one stays. That's the one that Declan likes. And me too, actually. Shouldn't say like he's the only one who likes it. I really like that idea and I'm excited to develop it. Let's see here. What was this one? That one, well, I like that one. That's the one, yep, that I took a note of that I was excited about. Let's try this one. Nope, that is just too busy. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that. Too much movement going on, not a lot of sense. All right, so we have got, let's see here. I'm moving this one down because I like this one. Oops, wrong button. So I'm going to slap that down there. I just realized I've got this set to time code. I want to switch that back to bars and beats. So this one was selected, that one was selected. Now there are 2 more slots. Let's see which of these 3 is getting eliminated. That one's staying. Oh, I like those both. How do I feel about this one? Let me hear that again. Let's hear that on the horns. I wish that would just stay up. All right, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. 5 is close enough to 4. All 5 of these ideas are going to get developed next. That is the next stage of the plan, all right? Whew, 5 ideas. All right, so now we move on to the next stage of the plan where we are going to develop these 5 motivic ideas into full-on phrases, full-on thematic statements. Let's see what we had taken notes. So we have lyrical. All right, so that kind of went out at the window. I was thinking not lyrical is what I wanted to do at the beginning, but these are all sounding pretty lyrical. Well, I don't know about that. A lot of them have disjunct movement, which is large leaps. Lyrical, there's a lot of things that go into making a melody lyrical, but one of the big ones is that it's a lot of conjunct movement, or a lot of stepwise movement, small things, instead of large steps like this. That would be a disjunct melody, whereas that would be more conjunct. All steps versus large leaps. So it's not going to be lyrical anymore. Do I have anything about phrase structure? Does not look like I do. So let's stick to just, So right now, I think I'm going to go with 8-bar phrases, because each of these are 2-bar motivic ideas. Where 8 bars is a little vanilla, but it's okay because we're already in 7/8 time. We're using lots of syncopation. We're using lots of dotted rhythms. We're using a lot of non-vanilla parameters here, especially rhythmically speaking. We have very irregular accents that we're going to be using throughout this, so it's okay to be a little vanilla on the other aspects. All right, I'm just going to use 8-bar phrases. So let's see, any other questions? Yeah, glad to help, Steve. Let's see. Ooh, excellent. Glad you liked it too, Declan. Let's see here. Let's stretch each of these into 8-bar phrases. So this one is going to go from 8/4 to 9. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? One more. All right, so that's the first idea. Then we've got this one. He got out of control. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So let's bring that back down. Is that 8 measures? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, there we go. All right, so we've got those 2 ideas there. Then the other idea was this one. Pop that down. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I really should be better at counting than this, shouldn't I? Oh, let's see. That's 3 ideas. Now we've just got these last 2. What happened? So 1, 2, yeah. What's going on here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. One more idea to do. This is all kind of tedious, but it's all right. It's all part of the process. We'll go here. Copy that. Pop it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. All right, so now we have the 5 phrases we are going to develop. Let's just mark these on Cubase real quick. Five. Let's see here. Move to the marker track over here. We'll go phrase 1. Why is this in all caps? Phrase 2. Phrase 3. And I'm just organizing because it will save you a whole lot of effort and issues in the future if you just stay nice and organized. And I'm going to rewrite this one because I know myself. I'm going to see the capital letters down in the future. I'm going to forget that it was a mistake, and I'm going to freak out trying to figure out what was so special about this first motif. Actually, that's right. This motif actually was special, wasn't it? This is the one that Declan liked. And these are all in the horns. Let's move these up to the pianos. All right, excellent. So, but that's all right. I won't make any mark of whether or not that was Declan's favorite or not, because I do appreciate your input, Declan. It's very important to me. But I do want to go into each of these 5 being nice and unbiased, focusing on just which one has the best potential for moving forward. All right, let's see here. Any comments? All right. Thanks for stopping by. Ooh, glad to see that you're able to come from Norway. Have a good night. Thanks for staying up extra late, Verger. All right. Thanks, Cody Boy. Glad to help. Thankful for everybody's support. Thank you so much. Yes, this is on YouTube this time. I've done a couple on Switch. Nothing against Switch. It was just a little difficult for me to get everything working the way I wanted it to work. And after a while, I was like, you know what? Let's just stick everything on one platform. All right. It's difficult trying to get everybody to try and switch to a different platform for these things. So since YouTube is compatible with OBS, which is my streaming software I use, my screen share software, everything, the stuff I use, I decided to just try it on YouTube. I'm glad that so many of you are able to make it. It's exciting. Makes me feel a little less insane not talking to myself in a room for a long time. Let's see here. All right, so we got 4 ideas. I'm going to go off screen for a little bit. What I'm doing right now is I'm going into my Google Docs where I keep all kinds of stuff. I'm going to look for my composing process. Actually, we had one for D&D. Where is it? No, those are all different D&D things I'm doing. Right now I'm in my Google Docs. I'm trying to find the document we were using for this character suite. Let's see here. There it is. All right, so here we have all the notes taken from these characters. We went all over all of this. So we came up with the climax. We got all these notes taken care of. Sketch out each section. Let's see here. All right, so consider which parameters may have the contrast and energy throughout the phase. All right, so now we're on to step 5. All right, we've got our motivic ideas. It's time to start sketching out the thematic material. Now, we haven't been sticking purely to my process for this because this is a bit different from the kind of stuff I like to write. This process I came up with for writing concert standalone music. So having to build more world-building music is a bit different from this, but it's still pretty useful. Let's see, so what motions ideas we're responsible for. We have those taken care of. We revisited that already. Consider which parameters will be used for localized peak in the initial iteration of the theme. Map out the strength and contrast of energy throughout the phrase. Yes. All right, so plan the punctuation. What does it need to do? How will it do that? Excellent. All right, so we've got a whole mess of fun stuff we're going to be discussing now. So this first one, let's revisit. I'm sorry, I have got the world's squeakiest chair. Let's see here. So we've got a whole lot of stuff. So we've been working in the DAW for a bit. It's time to start working with my notes. And like I said, I am a very detail-oriented person with this stuff. So first things first, we had our parameters. Let's pull that up. I can't have both at the same time, can I? But let's see. So what emotions or ideas are each themes responsible for? Revisit the parameters you chose to help portray these emotions and ideas. Let's look at what we had come up with for the emotions. So we had... What emotions do I want to explore? The deepest. Section A with the heroic protagonist idea. This was about adventure. All right, we wanted the D&D spirit, the getting ready to go kick some monster butt or whatever we're doing in our campaigns. This is the one we're focusing on now. We'll come back to a sibling bond or loyalty later, and we'll use whatever theme we decide to go with for the adventure to inform the more lyrical version. So we're not going to have to do this whole process over again for the lyric thing. We're not going to have to come up with 16 motifs. No, the heroic theme will inform the next theme, and we'll go into that when the time has come. But for the adventure theme, we decided the parameters would be 9 parameters. We talked about how we would portray this kind of approach. We have tempo would be moderate to fast-paced. The texture or the structure of the piece would be a melody. We were thinking fragmented. Now I'm thinking a bit more lyrical. We'll see. Bassline, rhythmic, ostinati, arpeggios. So that's right. We'll see. When I first started this piece, I was really thinking more of a Slavic folk music inspired theme. A common example would be like the kind of stuff they did for The Witcher was what I really had in mind. But now, after working with the horns, I think I've kind of sucked myself into more of a John Williams type approach. So we'll see if it sticks to it. Timbre, the focus was originally on drums, flutes, maybe some plucked strings, lots of metallic percussion, and maybe some sampled lizards. The idea being these are lizard folk. We wanted to stick to some more tribal, primitive, D&D character kind of world-building instruments. Might still do that. I think, because yeah, we're not at the arrangement step yet. We might still do that. Let's see, pitch, modal in nature, not lyrical, kind of threw that out the window. Maybe, we'll see. Harmony, non-functional harmony, tertiary movement. We are sticking to that. We are sticking to tertiary movement. It's non-functional. Articulation, nice mix of both staccato and legato. We're going to go with that. Rhythm, syncopation, rhythmically active, short subdivisions of the beat. Dotted notes and triplets, we are sticking to all of those. Register, cover multiple registers across the melodic voices, at least more registers than section B. So yeah, section B being the lyrical sibling bond, we want the energy level to come down a little bit. So I think the melody will be in at least a couple different octaves here. Dynamics on the louder side, but with some give and take. All right. So we covered all of that early on in this process. Let's see, any thanks. Thank you. Glad to see you. Let's see here. Using the story and climax. So now what were we going with here? All right, so sketching out this. So we've revisited what those are going to look like. Now we need to start thinking about which parameters will be used for a localized peak in the initial iteration of the theme. Map out the contrast and energy throughout the phrase. All right, so what do I mean by this? All right, adventure theme A, phrase option 1. So every phrase, so phrase structure implies a localized peak. So typically when I'm planning out a big piece of music, I like to plan a specific moment of the climax, the biggest energy of the piece. You could hit that as the apex of the music, the big orchestra all comes in kind of moment. And I like to think which of the 9 parameters are going to contribute to that climax. All right, for tempo, maybe the tempo just really picks up for that high energy moment. Texture, maybe this is where I'm hammering home that melody. I'm bringing in big blocky chords. I've got a strong bass line where every family of the orchestra is contributing to it. Maybe rhythm, we got big things going on. Dynamics is almost always part of a climax. Huge volume, bigger than anywhere else. But the idea being that I like to plan out what is my climax going to look like. Even if I don't know what my melody is going to be, what parameters of music are going to be most important for building to this huge emotional payload. And then every phrase throughout the picture, throughout the music, needs to contribute towards a growth towards that. It's sort of like a narrative in telling a story. You don't just bam, the climax doesn't come out of nowhere. It has to be set up. The final battle between the good guys and the bad guy has to have a payoff. It has to build up. We have to see it coming for a while and anticipate it. And so when I have these phrases, I like to decide how is each phrase going to contribute to that ultimate payoff. And I like to think how are the 9 parameters going to be used in these phrases to help set up that payoff. So basically, every phrase has a mini little climax in it, something that builds us closer to it. So for example, if my texture is going to have 4 octaves for the melody in that big moment. We're splitting it across 4 stringed instruments. The first violins, second violins, violas, and celli are all performing in their own octaves on the melody. And then we're doubling with woodwinds or with the horns or something. I can't just start, or I don't want to start with just those 4 registers out of nowhere. I'll start with 1 register. All right? Then in the first phrase. And then maybe in the second phrase, we build up to 2 registers. Then for that first phrase, we come back down. All right, and we just go back to the 1. Then we build up to 3 or whatever. We just find how am I going to end up at that 4? How am I going to find a way to build into that? So all of this to say that right now, I want to start that thinking now. In what kind of climax am I looking for? Actually, let's just do that now. What is the climax going to look like for the adventure theme? All right, so tempo. I don't think the tempo is going to change. Tempo is going to be relatively stable. Texture is definitely going to change. Melody, bass line across all families. And what I mean by that is, for example, if I'm using a orchestra and I'm using brass, woodwinds, and strings, then that means I want at least 1 instrument from each of those families, brass, woodwinds, and strings, to have a representative on that bass line. If I'm using synths, I want a synthesizer also represented. If I'm using choir, I also want some choral voices represented on that bass line. The more families are contributing to a single aspect of the music, a single layer of the texture, the bigger the presence of that overall texture is going to be. So bass line is going to be important. Let's say chords. I wasn't thinking chords at the beginning. I was thinking more implied harmonies, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll see question mark there. Because it has been, like, what, a month or two that we've been working on this? Ideas change, especially when I take so much time in between each video. Chords, and then let's say, what was it up here? Is that rhythmic? Yes, ostinati. I want some rhythmic activity going on here, all right? Then let's see, what other parameters do I want to focus on for building this? I just remembered. That's how we're going to do it. Climax only. So climaxes, I did say they have to be prepared. Here goes my squeaky chair again. Climaxes do have to be prepared. All right, for it to have an emotional payoff, you need to set it up throughout the piece. And we'll go more into that as the piece goes on. I should probably do an entire series on music structure and how pieces can be planned and structured and stuff. So that'll be in the future at some point. But one of the things that can really make it have an emotional payoff in the climax is when everything is set up. Everything is prepared, everything has that payoff, and then you throw in one thing that was not prepared. One thing that just has never been used in the piece before, but suddenly appears for this climactic moment. In lots of film music, the common example would be the brass. You have an entire emotional piece building up energy using nothing but strings, woodwinds, and maybe some percussion and piano or something like that. That's beautiful, energetic, sounds great, and then, bam! The brass comes in for that climax. The trombones are playing the chords, the tuba is on the bass line, the horns are in counter melody, and the trumpets are playing some rhythmic figures. It's overwhelming the kind of impact that can have. And so maybe that's something we'll do here. The idea that everything should be paid off, should be prepared and set up ahead of time to make sense for that climax. But if we're going to include one thing that comes out of nowhere, maybe it's just straight up chords. All right, if we have implied harmony throughout most of this, and then just bam, they come out there for the climax. We'll see, we'll see. I'm just toying with some ideas here. Let's see, any other questions? We're doing good, we're doing good. All right, so we are coming up on an hour here, so I'm going to be calling it probably after we figure this stuff out. But let's see here. So yes, I'm going to be calling it, I think, in the next 5 minutes or so here. So if you have any questions, now is the time. Throw them in the comments. I'll make sure to answer everything I can before I close up. But I think once we have this climax figured out, that's when I'll call it good for writing today. Texture, let's see, timbre. Well, yeah, timbre. Introduce a new voice. All right, so we'll save a special voice. Probably brass is what I'm thinking. Brass does really well, but I haven't completely thrown out the idea of creating a specific sound palette for this piece. Timbre, pitch, nothing I'm too worried about. Harmony, we're good. Articulation, rhythm, we've already got the ostinati in there. That's working pretty good. Register and dynamics will be my last ones. Register, maximum space across the sonic spectrum. But basically, if I was losing only 2 registers maximum at first, I want to, bam, get a lot of them. If I'm, yeah, that's basically it, yeah. For the climax, have the maximum number of registers possible. Now that I'm doing this, I'm starting to realize that we probably won't have a big climax for this piece. I'm remembering now that this needs to be loopable. All right, and if every 3 minutes you're just having this massive emotional boom, it becomes very annoying very quickly. So maybe we'll have a mini climax, something to give some more energy, a payoff, but not so big that it distracts, because this is supposed to be background music, not a feature. All right, let's see. But last one, pretty simple. Loudest at this part. All right, so that's it. That's the basic idea for what the climax is going to be. The next step is going to figure out how each of these phrases are going to contribute to these or help set them up. So we'll go much more in depth on that. The entire next episode will be focused on that. Right now I'm thinking probably next Friday, same time, maybe a little bit earlier for those of you who are on the other side of the world and it was super late. But yeah, thanks everybody. I'm glad that you were enjoying it so much. Let's see if there are any other questions. Georgia, would you post a suite template on your website or make a series on how to write a suite? I greatly enjoy your harmony for composer series. Yes, thank you, Georgia. So yes, I've got a whole lot of projects I'm working on right now, and I'll actually share a couple of them with you right now. So I think there's only about three or four more videos left of the Harmony series. The next video is on set theory. Then we're gonna do one on inversions and bass lines. Then I think the other two ideas, I've got one for harmonizing a melody. So we'll start with how do you take a melody and then write harmonies for it. And then the last one will be just more modern part writing. So how do you take a chord progression and make it sound a little bit more alive for an orchestra, especially for like homophonic chord progressions where all you've got is a chord progression and that needs to be a bit more interesting. So I'll talk about those. Those are the 4 videos left for the Harmony series. After that, I'm planning out a melody series. So after that, it won't be as long as the Harmony series. So far, I've only got about 6 videos planned. But basically, that's going to go step by step, everything you need to know for the foundations for a good melody. All right, what makes a good melody? How is it structured? And then basically a bunch of episodes on different approaches. So I've got one where you start with the rhythm first, where you start with the chords first, where you start with just a specific interval that you had first, stuff like that. I'm excited about that one. Then I'm probably going to do I've got a couple different ideas for like structure, going through actually structuring pieces, planning pieces like this. It's incredible. I don't have it on my desk. I usually almost have it with me, but I've advertised for a book a couple times. I don't get sponsored at all. I just think it's amazing. But Alan Belkin's book, Musical Composition, Art and Craft, it's incredible. He uses very academic and kind of hoity-toity language at times, but if you're able to get past that without being bored to death, which, okay, that sounds a little harsh, but if you're able to get past that kind of stuff, it's incredible wealth of information. But I will eventually talk about that stuff. Right now, that is my goal. I want to revamp my website. I've never done anything like that. Right now, my website's basically just been a place for me to store things. I want to revamp it and come up with some stuff. I want to create PDF versions of my process for writing concert music, my process for spotting music. Actually, I can pull that up right now to show that to you guys. But oh, sorry, that's my dog. I've mentioned this a couple times, but I come from a background of research. I was actually training to be a therapist before I realized I was miserable doing that, and I just wanted to pursue music. But a lot of that carries over. A lot of that structure, a lot of that planning, that tendency to want to be prepared and have a very distinct idea of what it is I'm doing before I start writing my first notes carries over from my research experience. So here I have a spotting process that I came up with after studying with Berkeley for a bit. It starts with the big picture, a whole bunch of questions I ask myself to kind of figure out what is this story about, what do I need to know. Then it goes small picture. So basically, how do I dissect every single scene? And then the details for every single sync point within a scene. And basically, after I go through this and take all the notes, I have everything figured out that I need to make sure that I don't have to struggle with writer's block. And that's what all of these tools are. I have a lot of tools I've come up with for myself so that when I need to sit down and write something, I can do it and not have to worry about banging my head up against the keyboard because I can't come up with something. I've been there and it's miserable. So a lot of this has just been out of necessity. I'm glad to help, Jack. Let's see. Sorry, yes. Thanks, Declan. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad to help. And so yeah, back to you, Georgia. Sorry, you got a little sidetracked there. All of these tools I've built for myself, I want to share them. All right, I want to share them. So I want to build a website where I can post them. I'm trying to figure out how to share them and stuff. I'm working on that. But the one I'm most excited about, which I'm kind of geeking out about actually right now, I'm smiling just thinking about it. So there's a reason why I went into therapy. There's a reason why I went into grad school to study psych. I do love psych, all right? I just didn't love it as much as I thought I did. And there's a real part of me that misses that kind of world and that kind of work. And I've got a very close friend of mine. I consider him a brother, all right? We've known each other since first grade, and we actually went to grad school together. We actually kind of joke because out of high school, he was bound and determined to be a musician. That's all he wanted. And I wanted to go into psych. And now, ironically, I'm the one going into music, and he's a therapist. Like, that's his job. He does incredible. I could not do what he does. But he and I have been collaborating on creating a tool specifically for understanding emotion and understanding emotion in terms of how you can write it with music. So he's actually coming over to my place tomorrow, and we're going to finalize the first draft of that tool. And the idea is that it will be a tool used to dissect an emotion, understand all the various aspects of it. What is that noise? Oh, sorry, I think it's a motorcycle going by. So you can dissect the emotion, understand how it's felt, how it's experienced, the impact it has on a person's ability to process things, and to go from there to use my 9 parameters that I've mentioned a lot in my videos to combine the tool for understanding emotion, the tool for understanding music as 9 parameters, combine the two so that you can dissect an emotion and come up with an effective, efficient, and quality approach that you can represent that emotion with your music. And so I'm super excited about that. We thought this was going to take us months to work on. We started with a lit review. So that's going into looking at a bunch of peer-reviewed journals. We were reading anything and everything we could get our hands on, dissecting it as much as we possibly could, and it's come together a lot faster than we anticipated. We weren't expecting to have a first draft until October, and we're expecting to be ready by tomorrow. So after the draft tomorrow, the plan is to share it with a couple of my professors at Berkeley, get some feedback, get some advice on how it can be improved, different ways that they think would work, things that they think aren't as helpful. Revise it from there, and then we want to put together a couple examples and post it here on YouTube to share with you guys. So keep an eye out for that. I'm super excited about it. I'm kind of smiling about it. But let's see, were there any other questions? I hope that answers your question, Georgia. Thank you. Steve, you asked, do you program percussion simultaneously with other instruments? Yes and no. It depends on the project. Being completely honest, percussion is not my strong suit, or it wasn't for the longest time. I had no idea how to write for percussion. Fortunately, I was able to spend a lot of time with it, learn a lot more about it, and still at this point, I think the fact that it hasn't been a strength of mine in the past is reflected in the fact that I usually save that for last. If I have a specific idea in mind, so if I've got a rhythmic vamp I think would be great on a tom-tom, or I really want to get a swell on a tam-tam, all these different things, I'll add those in. But for the most part, percussion is the very last thing I address when orchestrating my pieces. And so yeah, not everyone does that. I know some people who do percussion first. They like to prefer to work with grooves. I've never really done that. I did that once for this video, and we came up with this god-awful abomination that I did not like. So yeah, that didn't work well for me. But yeah, so I don't typically do it simultaneously. I typically do it last, but that's just me. Jack Starup, thank you for your videos. Yeah, my pleasure, Jack. I'm glad to help. Very interesting. Thank you, Real Raven. Georgia, yes, I'm super excited. Thank you. Yes, I'm. Like I said, he's meeting with me tomorrow. We're gonna finalize it, so it'll be interesting. It's gonna be really fun to have a composer who's well versed with psych, because like I said, I did finish grad school at this before moving on. So we have a composer who understands the world of therapy and psychology, and we've got a therapist who's a musician and understands the world of music. I'm very excited about this. So hopefully it turns into something that's very useful for all of you guys. And again, the point of all this is every tool I make is typically I start with making it for myself, and I'm just glad I'm able to share it with all of you guys. Everything I make is a way to be structured to fight writer's block. Because one of the most important things about writing for media is you have deadlines. All right, you don't get to work on something for a year or two. If you get hired by like a student filmmaker and they say, we've got a festival in 2 months and we need the music in 1 month, and you need to come up with an hour and a half of music in 1 month, you've got to come up with an hour and a half of music in 1 month. You don't have a lot of time to sit around trying to wait for the muses to strike you. And so, like I said, as a researcher, a big thing about doing a research project is you had to have everything meticulously planned before you even got started. Especially when you were working with human subjects, when you were working with people. You had to have everything planned in detail so that it would be allowed by a third-party revisionist called the IRB, where they would go through, make sure that you had everything planned out to a T, and that there were no issues, no ethical mistakes or anything like that, no murky areas. Everything had to be dialed in before you even got started talking to the first person. And so that's the approach I like to take with music. I like to make sure that I have everything dialed in. I know exactly what I want to accomplish and how I'm going to accomplish it before I even start writing my first notes. So that's what all these tools are, kind of trying to combat that writer's block, and I enjoy it. It lets me keep connected to my roots a little bit. Uh, Steve, pairing psychology and composing for emotional sounds effects sounds special. Yes, I'm loving it. It's incredible. I'm loving it. Like I said, I'm excited. I can't wait to share it with you guys. Um, yes, writer's block. The struggle is real. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. I think if there are no more questions, that's where I'm gonna wrap it up for now. Thank you so much to everyone who came live. The video I think should post right away to YouTube. If not, hopefully I've been recording this. We'll see. But plan is to do another live video every Friday from here on out. So hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. But in the meantime, you know the drill. Keep studying, keep working hard, and just keep writing new music. All right? Have a good weekend, everybody. Oh, so it didn't end right away. All right. Goodbye for real now.